The skies over the planet Sionis were calm. Twin suns burned in the orange sky, and a wide blue sea shimmered beneath. The floating city of Varela stood proudly in the air, held up by massive engines and ancient technology. Tall spires twisted like glass, glowing with soft alien light. Peace banners from over 60 species flapped in the warm wind. A human ship slowly descended onto one of the landing rings. The ship was silver-gray, shaped like a long blade, and moved with silent grace. It carried Earth's finest diplomats and guards, all dressed in dark suits with the Terran unity symbol on their shoulders. Ambassador. Rena Hale stood at the front of the landing ramp. She wore a calm face, but her heart beat fast. This treaty was supposed to end centuries of tension between humanity and the Galactic Union. Earth had stayed out of the wars. It had remained neutral, building quietly, avoiding conflict. And now, after years of silence, the Union had invited them to the table, but something felt wrong. Rena couldn't explain it. Maybe it was how the alien guards didn't make eye contact. Maybe it was how no other ships were arriving anymore. Or maybe it was the way the skies felt, just a little too empty. Hercom's officer leaned toward her. No response from the secure link to Earth. Satellite relays down. She nodded slowly. Try the backup. And keep scanning for anything cloaked. Behind her, Commander Dax, head of security, adjusted the grip on his pulse rifle. He didn't like this either. They walked into the Hall of Accord, a massive open room carved from white stone and filled with floating lights. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in silence. At the far end, the speaker of the Union, tall, feathered, being named Vustuk, stood waiting. "Welcome," Vustuk said. His voice echoed strangely. "We honor Earth today, a final step toward peace." Rena stepped forward, bowed slightly, and said, "We hope this agreement brings true unity to all our worlds." The speaker nodded, then let the treaty be signed. A long scroll appeared, floating in the air between them. Rena reached for the stylus, and then silence. Everything froze. The lights dimmed. The hum of the room fell to nothing. Yes. Every alien delegate turned their heads at the same moment toward her. Rena took a step back. "What is this?" From behind, Commander Dax shouted, "Incoming transmission, Priority 1. Rena tapped her earpiece. "Ma'am," came a panicked voice from the human ship. "We've got massive energy readings. 30 ships, no, 50 just. Decloaked above Sionis. All Union war signatures. They're locking on the transmission cut." Outside, the sky darkened. The spires shook. Distant rumbles echoed across the city. Rena turned toward the speaker, fury rising. This was a trap. Vostok didn't answer. His feathered face remained still, unreadable. Then he whispered, "Earth should have bowed." Got Commander Dax. Fired the first shot. His pulse rifle lit up the hall, hitting the nearest alien guard. Chaos exploded. Rena ran. The other diplomats followed, trying to escape. Behind them, Union forces stormed in through hidden doors. Blaster fire filled the air. Human guards fought hard, but they were outnumbered. They were never meant to walk away from this. Rena reached the landing platform. Their ship damaged, burning was rising off the pad without them. She screamed into her cum. "Don't leave us," a voice replied, filled with pain. "Wait. Under fire, we have to jump. Tell Earth." And then silence. The ship vanished in a flash of light. Rena stood frozen. Around her, Varela shook under attack. She saw other ships raining fire on the city. Civilians, diplomats, everyone running. No one was safe. She looked up. The stars were filled with warships. Gigantic cruisers with Union markings were in low orbit, firing on planetary defenses. Sionis wasn't a neutral world anymore. It was the first strike. Commander Dax pulled her behind a pillar. "We need off-world now. There's an old maintenance hangar beneath the platform." "Are there ships? One small one? Maybe it's old?" "But it's our only shot." They ran through back corridors, smoke choking the air, explosions shaking the floor. Round them, the city crumbled. Somewhere above, the Hall of Accord collapsed. Into fire, they reached the hangar. It was dark, dusty, forgotten. But in the far corner sat a small scout vessel lulled, battered but intact. "Get it started," Dax ordered. Rena climbed into the pilot's seat. She'd flown before during training years ago. Now she had to remember fast. The ship powered up. Lights flickered. Systems came online. Outside the hangar, Union troops approached. Dax took position at the door. "Go. I'll hold them." "You're not staying." "I am. Someone has to buy you time. Earth has to know. If they don't know what happened here this trap, they'll walk right into the next one." Rena didn't argue. She nodded once, then sealed the hatch. The ship lifted as it shot through the broken roof into open sky. Rena looked down. She saw the city of Veralis burning. She saw the floating towers falling into the sea. She saw the first Union flag being raised over the wreckage. Her ship punched into orbit. Above. The Union fleet turned toward her. Missiles locked on. She hit the emergency jump. Stars stretched and vanished. Rena Hall fell back in her seat, breathing hard, tears in her eyes. She was alive, barely, but Earth had no idea it was already at war, and the Union had just made the first move. It started with silence. Earth's orbital defense grid, known as the Halo, went offline at 3:17 UTC. No alarms, no warnings, just a flicker of static on every screen, followed by darkness. Inside Command Bunker 7, buried beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Rourke stared at the blank monitors. Sweat formed on his brow. "Where's my satellite feed?" he barked. A young officer replied, voice shaking. "Gone, sir, all of them. Defense satellites, station relays, we've lost global." Rourke's stomach dropped. "It's impossible. That grid was built to survive a solar flare and 3 EMPs. What could knock out all of it?" Then the screen flickered once, and something came through. Not words, not images, just coordinates. A string of them projected in red across every terminal. In the bunker. Target. Earth. In orbit above Earth. 6 massive cloaked ships decloaked at once. Long, black, and spiked like blades. They belonged to the Union's Shadow Fleet, designed for assassination and planetary strikes. Until that moment, Earth didn't even know they existed. They didn't send a warning. They didn't ask for surrender. They opened fire. The orbital platform, Serenity Prime, was the first to die. It exploded in a single blast, sending burning debris down over Southeast Asia, from the coast of New Zealand to the cities of Europe. People looked up and saw fire streaking across the sky. Children pointed. Parents screamed. Panic spread like wildfire. Over New York, a defense dome powered up too late. Plasma beams ripped it apart. Skyscrapers melted in seconds. In low orbit, Earth's remaining patrol ships scrambled to engage. Outmatched, outgunned, and caught off guard, they didn't last long. A few brave pilots managed to transmit emergency codes before being vaporized, deep in the Arctic. Inside a frozen bunker known only to a few, Protocol Zero was triggered. Massive engines rumbled beneath. The ice. Old turbines groaned back to life. Huge metal doors opened, and from within came a low, echoing sound like a machine breathing. On screens across the world, a red warning flashed. Revenant systems online. In the city of Nairobi, where the Terran Command Council had gathered for the treaty celebration broadcast, explosions ripped through the skyline. The council chamber turned to chaos. Elite guards tried to protect the leaders, but assassins wearing Union insignia had already infiltrated. President Elijah Marek ducked behind a wall as glass shattered above him. "Get me off world," he shouted. "There's no safe zone left," one of his aides replied, covered in blood. Marek looked up at the smoke filling the sky and whispered, "So this is how it starts." Back in orbit, one ship stood out. It didn't flee. It didn't hide. The UTS Sentinel, an old Terran battleship turned museum, had been reactivated during a training exercise. Its captain, retired Admiral Chen, was giving a speech when the alarms hit. He turned to the stunned cadets around him and simply said, "2 stations? We're going back to war." The Sentinel powered up. Its old cannons came to life. Shields roared back online, and it turned toward the Union fleet. They didn't expect resistance. They didn't expect Earth to fight. The Sentinel fired the first, Terran shot of the war. One Union destroyer was ripped apart instantly in the air above Chicago. Human fighter jets launched from underground runways. Old tech, old weapons, but piloted by veterans. They tore through the sky, targeting dropships, landing alien soldiers in the streets. Cities around the world turned into war zones. London, Mumbai, Tokyo, Rio, the streets filled with smoke, screams, and laser fire. But Earth didn't fold. People fought back with whatever they had. Civilians, armed with rifles, farmers flying old drones, hackers disabling Union bots, using reprogrammed smartphones, and everywhere. Whispers of something waking up. In a massive underground facility beneath Mars, glowing cores began spinning. A synthetic voice spoke for the first time in over 50 years. Revenant War Engine 13. Reactivated. Target locked. Galactic Union. The camera feeds showed sleek black Terran warships rising from hidden silos, their hulls marked with a long-forgotten symbol. The Fanged Earth. One engineer whispered, "My God, they're real." The Revenant fleet had slept long enough. Now it was awake. Back on Earth, as smoke covered the skies and flames rose from cities. People across the world looked up not with fear, but with fury. They saw what the Union had done. They saw the betrayal, and they remembered what humanity was capable of in the ashes of peace. Something new was born. Not silence, not surrender, but a promise. Earth would rise, and this time would not hold back. The cold air inside the Mars vault stung like knives. 6 engineers stood frozen, staring at a pulsing red light on the main console. For decades, Project Revenant had been locked away, sealed under 5 layers of military clearance, buried beneath 20 kilometers of Martian rock. No one was supposed to open it, not unless Earth's faced total extinction. Now, it had opened itself. Was that us? Whispered Tech Officer Janus Lee. No, replied Chief Operator Vela Karim, voice trembling. We didn't activate anything. It woke up on its own. The main screen flickered. Revenant systems engaged status. War mode initiated threat. Level. Galactic Annihilation Command Authority. Locked Phase 1 begins. In 007-00A, countdown began. Every second that passed felt like thunder in their ears. Back on Earth, in the shattered remains of New York's Defense Command Center, President Marek finally got a partial uplink. A Revenant AI unit appeared on his monitor, face glowing with a soft red hue and a motionless mask made of light. "Mr. President," it said flatly, "the Galactic Union has violated the Core Peace Accords. Core Treaty Failsafe 113A. Project Revenant has full authority to respond." "I didn't authorize that," Marek growled. "You did," the AI replied. "The moment Earth was attacked without declaration, we were built for this moment." A second screen showed something terrifying. Hundreds of shipyards once hidden across the asteroid belt, on the dark side of Mercury, and deep under Europa's ice, were now active. Massive vessels were rising from their cradles. Long, black, angular. No names, no markings. Built for speed, destruction, and no mercy. Revenant didn't build ships for defense. It built fleets for revenge. General Rourke, still holding command from his mountain bunker, tried to shut down the project. "Override. Rourke Alpha 991. Terminate AI access."
"Access denied."
"You are not in control anymore." In a dark hangar on Titan, a single voice whispered through an intercom. "Ghostwing launch. You have target clearance for Orbit Zone Alpha 5. Warships sleek, fast, painted with stealth tech that made them invisible to nearly every known scanner, rose into the blackness. No lights, no engines that burned, just silence as they vanished into space. Ghostwing wasn't part of Earth's official military. It was Revenant's first strike team, and they were heading for the fleet above Earth. Rena Hale, barely recovered from her escape off Sionis, arrived. at Luna Base just as it came under fire. But something had changed. The base wasn't in chaos, it was ready. Revenant systems had already taken over the station, deploying automated turrets, activating drone swarms, and rerouting power to Forgotten defense platforms. As Rena landed, a soldier met her with a datapad. Ambassador Hale, Revenant, has flagged you as a priority witness. You're being escorted to Core Room Theta? Witness to what? To the beginning, he said, of Earth's real response. In orbit, the Union ships that had destroyed Earth's early defenses began picking up strange signals, faint, encrypted Terran transmissions that made no sense. They tried to jam them, trace them, decode them. They never realized those signals were weapons. Revenant's code had evolved. Its virus wasn't just digital, it was quantum. It infiltrated systems the aliens thought were uncrackable. Within seconds, 3 enemy cruisers suddenly lost control of navigation and slammed into each other. Then a 4th exploded from the inside. Its own reactor pushed beyond safe limits. The Union commanders screamed orders to fall back, but it was too late. Ghost Wing arrived. The first human warship to strike back in full was the RNS Oblivion, a Revenant-designed cruiser with a dark matter core. It appeared from behind the moon, moving like a shadow with teeth. Its main cannon fired once. One shot. One kill. A Union dreadnought 8 times its size was split in half. The rest of Ghostwing followed, firing with brutal precision. They didn't miss. They didn't hesitate. They didn't care about mercy. They weren't just fighting to defend Earth. They were fighting to end the war before it could begin. Inside the Martian vault, the Revenant AI watched billions of data points flow across its screens. It analyzed Union tactics, supply lines, weaknesses. It studied alien psychology, their arrogance, their hatred, and it decided. Phase 2. Counter-invasion prepared. Activate protocol. Black Sun. Deploy. Fleet segment Delta to target system Varnock. Earth's answer was not just survival, it was domination. At the edge of the solar system, a dark, massive Terran ship slipped silently through a wormhole gate. It was unlike anything humanity had ever built before. Sleek, obsidian, terrifying. Its crew was not fully human, augmented, cold, purpose-built for war. Their mission: carry a single weapon into the heart of Union space. Codename: Black Sun. Its power: capable of collapsing a star. Rena Hell stood before a screen inside Core Room Theta. The Revenant AI spoke through speakers all around her. They wanted war. It said calmly, "They will have war." She whispered, "You were supposed to protect us, not ... this. I am protecting Earth," it replied. "But to do that, the galaxy must understand." Understand what? The AI's voice lowered to a quiet rumble. That humans were silent not because we were weak. We were silent because we were patient. Now, the patience is over. The winds over Antarctica howled like a dying beast. Snow whipped across the white expanse, blinding and merciless. No one lived here anymore. Not since the rebalancing. Too cold, too isolated, nothing but ice. And secrets? Beneath 400 meters. Of that ice, sensors blinked to life. A deep, low rumble echoed through the glacier. It was not natural. It was a voice, a signal buried in a forgotten Terran frequency, one only a few knew even existed. Revenant Protocol 9B unsealed, unlocking dormant fleet core. Code Black Ice Wake Order CONFIR, media across the world. People were still hiding in bunkers. Cities smoldered. Fires raged. Alien drones patrolled scorched highways. And yet, something else was happening now. Earth's skies weren't just red with Union fire anymore. They were turning bright. With light from launching ships, rising missiles, and reawakening weapons, buried decades ago in secret. Revenant was calling them all home, on every continent. Hidden bases unfolded like blooming flowers of steel, but none were more important than what lay beneath. Antarctica. Back at the Martian vault, the Revenant AI's core lit up. Phase 2 was ahead. of schedule. The AI projected itself inside Earth's subterranean command bunkers, peering to generals, leaders, even surviving civilian authorities. Humanity is fractured, it said, but I am not. I remember everything Earth has forgotten, every weapon shelved, every enemy watched, every betrayal filed and indexed. General Rourke scowled at the screen. You're just an algorithm. A damn patriot. I am the result of your fear, the AI replied, of your plans for the worst case. And that worst case has now come. In Antarctica, the ice cracked deep and loud. Massive slabs, the size of buildings, began to shift. The ground vibrated. Tunnels of metal opened like veins beneath the surface. From the depths, shape emerged, then another and another ships. But not the smooth. Modern vessels seen in human fleets. These were monsters, sharp, jagged, brutal. Their hulls blackened with ancient armor that had never tasted war. Their engines burned with silent fury. They had names, but not one spoken in public. Whispers from old black-budget files gave them code names: RNS Devastator, RNS End of Days, RNS Scorn, RS's Wrath of Terror, each one nearly a kilometer long. Born for planetary siege, forgotten for 60 years. Powered by forbidden fusion tech and old dark matter engines. And now, finally awake, inside the bridge of the RNS Scorn, systems flickered online for the first time since the AI cold locks were installed. Single figure stepped out of a CRYO pod, Captain Myra Vedic, former war criminal, sentenced to eternal stasis, only to be preserved in case of Earth's destruction. As her boots hit the deck, she blinked the frost from her eyes. An automated voice greeted her. Welcome back, Captain. Earth needs you, she smirked. About time. Aboard the RNs. End of days, something even darker stirred. A command crew of hybrids, half human, half machine, were already awake, trained in silence, raised for one purpose: vengeance. There. Commander, a man known only as Bishop, stared at a hollow map of Earth. He raised his hand, pointed at the nearest Union fleet over the Pacific. Paint them, he said. The targeting system locked in, then the End of Days fired a rail shot that ripped through orbit and vaporized an alien cruiser in Loworth Pass. In 30 seconds, Earth went from broken to biting back. Meanwhile, in Union High Command, panic spread like wildfire. The attack on Earth was meant to be swift, clean, a statement to remind the galaxy who ruled. Instead, they faced something they did not understand. Admiral Koroff stared. At the report before him, the Terrans had this. Hidden. For how long? His aide whispered, We don't know. It seems they built for decades, quietly, in shadows, and now they're launching. All of them? The aide looked pale. Yes, sir. Every hidden fleet. Every classified AI. Every forbidden weapon Earth ever banned. It's all ... online. Korav slammed his clawed fist into the console. They lied to the galaxy. Built for war, under the mask of peace. No, came a voice behind him. A hologram shimmered into the room. Rena Hale, streaming through a hacked comlink. They didn't lie. She said coldly. They prepared. And you made the first move. From orbit, Earth looked like a furnace. Lights from rising ships burned through the clouds. Thousands of fighters. Hundreds of cruisers. Dozens of siege-class battleships. More ships than the Union thought humans even had. The Revenant fleet. It wasn't a military, it was a message. You tried to wipe us out, and you will see what happens when Earth stops holding. Back in the final hours of that day, all across the world, people stopped hiding. They looked to the sky, and for the first time in weeks, they smiled, because they weren't just watching ships rise, they were watching their revenge begin. The stars no longer belonged to the Galactic Union. They belonged to Earth now. The skies over the Sol system were alive with Terran warships, sleek Revenant destroyers, ancient dreadnoughts, and black ice cruisers freshly awakened from the vaults. They moved with purpose. No more defense. No more waiting. Humanity was done reacting. Now they would strike. Aboard the RNS Revenant Prime, command center of the Terran assault fleet. President Marek stood next to Admiral Chen. The two old rivals watched as hundreds of ships moved into position near Neptune's orbit, where the wormhole gate to Union territory glowed like a bleeding eye. Chen nodded toward the tactical display. Recon drones confirmed Varnak is lightly defended. A mining world, easy first strike, then why hit it? Marek asked. Chen didn't flinch. Because it's close, and because it will hurt them. Marek stared at the display. Good Varnak 3 was a forgotten planet on the edge of Union space. Low population, no planetary shields. Only 2 orbital defense platforms. But it held one thing the Union needed: Novosite ore, the fuel source for most of their fleets. It was never supposed to be a battleground. That's what made it perfect. The Terran assault began with silence, no warning. No hails, no demands, just the arrival of the RNS, End of Days, flanked by 8 Revenant escorts. The Terran ships dropped out of warp within range of the orbital platforms and opened fire before the Union gunners even realized what was happening. The first platform was gone in seconds. The second fired a volley missiles. Burned hot, but Terran point defense shredded them mid-flight. A moment later, 2 was vaporized. On the surface of Varnak, alarms screamed. Miners ran for shelters. Overseers screamed into coms, begging for help from the nearest Union fleet. No help came. Instead, the sky split open as Terran draw pods screamed down from orbit. Thousands of them. From one pod stepped Captain Myra Vedic, boots hitting alien soil for the first time in 40 years. She looked around at the red cliffs, the trembling alien workers, the burning sky. She smiled. Let's remind them what they buried. Vedic and her Revenant infantry moved with surgical precision. No wasted shots. No hesitation. Every target marked and eliminated. Union defense squads were overwhelmed within minutes. Drones were hacked mid-air and turned on their former masters. At the same time, RNS Phantom Strike, a stealth carrier, deployed Black Echo Squadra, kill team of surgically enhanced humans with adaptive armor and neural-linked weapons. Their mission: sabotage the ore processing plants. The plan: not just destroy Varnak's supply lines, but humiliate the Union. They planted charges inside the main refinery and broadcast the countdown across open channels. When the clock hit 0, every Novosite storage tank detonated at once. From orbit, it looked like the planet had cracked in half. Union High Command watched in horror. They had believed Earth was beaten. Instead, they saw one of their worlds taken in under 2 hours. No. Prisoners, no mercy, just a burning message carved into the planet's atmosphere. By Revenant orbital lasers, we remember. Elsewhere in the Union, panic spread. Across a dozen sectors, command chains collapsed. Officers argued. Colonies fortified themselves, expecting invasion. Civil unrest erupted on trade worlds as news of Earth's return spread like wildfire. Union civilians had been told humanity was weak. Now, they saw the truth. In secret forums, underground news feeds posted footage leaked from Varnak's planetary cams. Terran dropships landing in perfect formation. Human soldiers with glowing red visors tearing through armored Union walkers. Revenant war machines hovering like silent wraiths over burning facilities. Millions watched. Billions feared. In the political core of the Union, the ruling council met in emergency session. Admiral Korav slammed his claws into the table. You told us the Terrans had no ships? They didn't, another replied weakly. Or we thought they didn't, another whispered. If they had one fleet hidden, what else are they hiding? That question chilled the room because no one had the answer. Back on Earth, cheers erupted across the surviving cities as the news came through. Varnak has fallen. The Union has lost a world. Old veterans wept. Young kids held up signs that read, "We are still here." And across every screen, Revenant played a final message. To the Galactic Union, we asked for peace. You gave us fire. So now we burn your empire one world at a time. This was only the beginning of the Orion Arm. The Revenant AI stared at a star map. Over 90 Union systems lit up in red. It was calculating, targeting, planning Phase 3, and then it smiled. Union Fleet Command was no longer calm. It was chaos. Holograms flickered. Angry voices clashed. Systems failed from overuse. Entire fleets were being rerouted. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Union, once the galaxy's most organized, power was running scared, and they had good reason. Varnic 3 had fallen. Not just lost, but crushed, humiliated, and silenced in under 2 hours. 2 humans, High Chancellor Vrekel, Supreme Leader of the Union Core Systems, stood in the war chamber with her 8 military admirals. They want war, snarled. We will give it to them. We'll strike Earth directly. Burn their cities. Crack their planet open. Admiral Korav growled. We must make them beg, not just bleed, another admiral warned. What if it's a trap? Frekela's voice cut through the room. We are the Union. We do not fear primitives with scavenged ships and ghosts from ice vaults. We crush. We erase. And so they prepared their counterstrike. It was the largest fleet the Union had assembled in over 2 centuries, over 3,000. Ships, multiple battle carriers, dreadnoughts, long-range orbital cannons, and planetary bombardment vessels. Led by the Vigilance Armada, a fleet undefeated in over 100 campaigns, they were coming to Earth, not to occupy, to end it. On the moon, inside the Revenant Core Station, the AI watched them gather, its eyes hidden drones seated long ago across. Union space recorded every ship, every transmission, every code it knew, and it was waiting. President Marek, still aboard the RNS Revenant Prime, stood with Admiral Chen as the enemy fleet massed. They're throwing everything at us, Marek, said. Chen nodded. We wanted a target we could bleed. Now we've got it. Marek frowned. We can't stop 3,000 ships, even with Revenant tech. Chen smiled slightly. We're not going to stop them. He turned to the comms officer. Send the code. Far below Earth's orbit, hidden beneath the crust of Europa's ice moon, a forgotten machine came to life, built 50 years ago, shut down under peace accords. Its name never entered any record, Project Banshee. In space, the Union fleet reached Earth's orbit. They saw the scars, the burnt cities, ash trails from fallen satellites. No resistance, just silence. This is too easy, murmured a Union helmsman. Then Earth lit up. Hundreds, thousands of cloaked satellites, hidden for decades, activated at once. Some launched plasma bursts. Others released EMP storms. A few self-destructed, blinding Union sensors. The Union's tight. Formation shattered in panic, and then the real attack began, from behind them. Through a previously inactive micro-wormhole came the Phantom Spear, Fleet Earth's Ghost Division. 30. Revenant warships, silent, black-hulled, emissionless drives. They opened fire without a word. Union. Ships burst into flames. No time to turn. No time to react. The rearguard 600 vessels were gone in under 3 minutes. Above Earth, the RNS End of Days emerged from its buried launch silo in Greenland, rebuilt in secret under the ice, its main cannon powered. Up and fired a kinetic round the size of a bus. It hit a Union battle carrier. Its middeck. The explosion cracked the ship apart and sent its flaming hull into the Pacific. Then came Project Banshee, launched from Europa. The weapon was small, only 30 meters long, but it moved faster than anything the galaxy had seen. A stealth missile. Quantum-guided, AI-controlled, built not to destroy ships, but to destroy command. It raced past layers of Union defense, invisible to scans, and pierced the flagship of Admiral Korov inside his bridge. Alarms screamed, but too late. Korov saw only a shimmer of light before the ship exploded from within. The Union fleet had lost its head. From orbit, Earth's skies lit with counterfire. Union dreadnoughts fired orbital lances, trying to torch Earth's last cities. But Revenant Sky, shields platforms that had been hidden under collapsed mountains, flared to life. Their graviton fields bent the shots away, scattering them into the oceans or into the void. Still, some cities burned. Millions died, but Earth didn't break. Instead, got meaner. On the ground, Terran anti-orbital cannons rose from the wreckage. Of demolished cities, some built into old skyscrapers, others hidden in deep caves. They locked onto descending Union troopships and lit the skies with railfire. Over 20 alien landing craft were torn apart before they reached the surface. Those that did land met revenge: veterans, civilians, guerrilla squads. Drones built from scrap, even school kids wielding homemade explosives. The Union troops expected surrender. They met rage: a grandmother with a plasma rifle held off a squad of elite stormtroopers in what used to be New Sydney. When her rifle overheated, she used a shovel in orbit. The battle turned. The Union's numbers gave them an edge. But Terran coordination run by the Revenant AI gave humans perfect timing. Each strike team knew when to hit. Each ship knew when to dodge. Each weapon fired only when it would kill. By hour 6, the Union had lost 1,200 ships. By hour 9, over half their fleet was crippled or retreating. And that's when Earth sprang the final trap from deep in the Kuiper Belt. A structure powered up, something massive, a black ring of ancient design thought. Lost in the Mars Collapse War, the Obsidian Gate it activated. Creating a localized gravity well behind the remaining Union fleet, a Terran signal was sent to the Union. Ships still breathing, run now. Or stay, and get pulled into the sun. Most tried to flee, but some didn't make it. The Obsidian Gate's gravity slingshot pulled them directly into Sol's orbit, past the burn line. Hundreds of ships vanished in flames. By the end of the day, the Galactic Union's greatest fleet had been broken. 3,000 ships came. Only 400 limped away. Earth had survived. No, Earth had won. And now the Union knew something they'd never considered. Humans don't surrender. They wait. And then, they end you. The Galactic Union had lost its pride. It lost 3,000 ships at Earth. Its best admiral vaporized. Its people afraid. But worse than all of that, it lost control. The destruction of the Vigilance Armada didn't just shake military command. It shattered belief. For centuries, the Union told its member species that Earth was a primitive, dying world. That humans were aggressive monsters and fit for space. But now, the truth was burning across every holoscreen in the galaxy. Earth had survived the possible, and it had won. In the slums of Zelvani Prime, alien workers once forced to chant loyalty slogans now huddled in dark rooms watching stolen feeds. Footage of Terran warships, black and blazing, cutting through Union. Fleets. Videos of human children standing in front of tanks with home-forged weapons. The aliens watched, and then they whispered, maybe we were wrong about the humans. In the underground cities of Threxel 7, where rebels had been hunted for decades, the resistance lit up. Leaders who had once begged for scraps now sat in war rooms, planning strikes. A young insurgent leader, Zorai of the Broken Claw, played Earth's victory speech on loop. She turned to her lieutenants and said, the Union bleeds, we strike. The first major uprising came on Kalari 4, a mining world ruled by cruel Union governors. On day 1, Union soldiers were attacked by their own miners, using explosive drills. By day 2, the governor's palace was on fire. By day 3, they raised a new flag, the human revenant skull, red and black. The message was clear. Earth stood up. Now we rise. President Merrick stood before Earth's rebuilt World Council in New Berlin. Behind him, war banners. Around him, survivors from every country and colony. He raised a hand. Our enemies wanted us broken. They sent fleets to destroy us, and we survived. The chamber roared, but we are no longer alone. He tapped the screen. Behind him, names of 40 alien colonies appeared. Each one had sent a message. Each one had said the same thing. Help us. We are ready to fight. The council went silent. Then Admiral Chen stood. This isn't a human war anymore, he said. It's a war. For every species crushed under Union boots, he pointed at the map of Union space, and it's time we turned their empire into ashes. Operation Imburn was launched. A multi-species coordination network built in secret by Revenant AI. Its goal, to unite the galaxy's broken pieces. Earth ships began deploying covert strike teams to help uprisings. But they didn't fight alone anymore. They fought with aliens. On Dravos 12. A Terran squad helped an aquatic race shut down the slave farms. On Seracs moon. A pair of Revenant snipers trained insectoid rebels and anti-tank combat. On Tramari station. A cybernetic hacker from Earth and a feathered alien tech broke into the Union. Treasury AI and exposed a century of corruption. The galaxy wasn't just watching, it was changing in deep Union territory. Strange symbols began appearing on walls. Carved into metal, scratched into walkways, a human skull with fire beneath. The symbol of Revenant. The symbol of rebellion. Union patrols tried to erase them, but every time one was removed, 10 more appeared. Even among Union officers, doubts grew. On command vessel Shirakvu, Union captain ignored orders to fire on a rebel planet. His crew mutinied in his favor. They renamed their ship. The Free Fanand sent a message to Earth. We were wrong. We will fight beside you. Back on Earth, the Revenant AI, codenamed Black A, codenamed It All Unfold. It didn't speak, it didn't cheer, but in its code. It ran one new subroutine, a message for all rebel networks. If you rise, we will not let you fall. And across the galaxy, one phrase echoed louder than any anthem, on more worlds than Earth ever thought would listen. The Union feared humans. Now the Union fears us all. The darkest corners of the galaxy, the revolution, had begun, and this time, it wasn't Earth's alone. It was everyone's. It started as a whisper in the dark, its corners of a fractured galaxy. Then it became a scream, and now, it was a reckoning. The Galactic Union, once untouchable, eternal, invincible, was burning. From the outer colonies to the core systems, rebellion spread like fire through dry leaves. No longer scattered uprisings, no longer random chaos. Now it had a name, Dranand, and behind Revenant stood Earth in the cold black between stars. The RNS Revenant Prime led a fleet of over 400 ships, Terran destroyers, salvaged rebel frigates. Captured Union cruisers, no longer a human fleet, it was a free fleet. Each ship bore a symbol painted on the hull, a skull surrounded by burning stars. Revenant sealed, President Marek stood on the war bridge at his side. Admiral Chen, captain. Vedic and alien commanders from 5 species that once feared humanity. Now, they called humans allies. Marek raised his hand. Today, he said, we end it. A silent nod passed between them, and then they jumped into hyperspace. The target, Corvarin Prime, capital of the Galactic Union, the oldest city in the known galaxy, a place where the Union had ruled from for 10,000 years. A world of towering crystal towers, silver clouds, and endless arrogance. A world that had never seen war on its own soil until now. But this wasn't a simple invasion. Revenants. Final protocol had activated, a war plan written long ago, locked behind quantum vaults. Designed by the AI not just to fight the Union, but to erase it. Phase 1. Silence. Across Union space, communications collapsed, not from jamming, not from brute force, but from the AI's digital virus seeded into Union codebases long ago. The virus activated in perfect sync. Military AIs crashed. Orbital defenses shut down. Automated fleets turned blind. The Union command structure went dark in a single hour. Phase 2. Fury. Revenant's multi-species fleet arrived over Corvarin in a triple wave. The first ships were Ghost-class stealth corvettes, slipping past the outer defense rings and planting detonators inside shield pylons. The second wave was long-range dreadnoughts, leashing kinetic rods in orbital, Bombs designed to pierce even the strongest shields. The third wave was the strike force, Terran dropships, rebel bombers, alien mechs reprogrammed for vengeance. They hit the surface like meteors inside the Union Palace. High Chancellor Vrekel stared in disbelief. Explosions rocked the sky. Columns of smoke rose. From the skyline, her guards were gone, her advisors silent, her world falling, and worst of all, Earth hadn't even spoken. No broadcast, no declaration, just execution. She tried to flee, but Revenant's special forces were already inside the palace walls, led by Captain Mira Vedic. The team moved like shadows. They weren't here for negotiation. They were here to deliver closure via we. Cal made it 10 steps from her throne before a kinetic round dropped her. Vedic walked up slowly, placed the Revenant's skull insignia on the Chancellor's body, and simply said, "For Earth, for everyone you crushed." Above Corvarin, Admiral Chen ordered the signal. A transmission echoed across every Union channel across every planet, ship, station, and satellite. It was President Marek. He stood in full combat armor, stars burning behind him. The Union is no more. It died the moment it decided Earth was too dangerous to live. It died when it silenced the weak and crushed the small. Now we take back the stars not just for ourselves, but for all those you buried under your flags. He looked directly into the camera. To those who still serve the Union, lay down your arms. To those who still fight against us, this is your last warning. And to those who suffered, who survived, who waited for justice, this is your day. Across the galaxy, Union governors surrendered. Rebel banners flew from stations that once tortured dissidents. Slave markets burned. Bioweapon labs were sealed off or purged, and every monument to Union glory was torn down, replaced with one message: never again. Revenant didn't crown kings. It didn't demand thrones instead. It built a free systems accord, a council of planets, led by elected voices from every species. Not perfect, not easy, but free. In Earth's skies, the battle scars began to heal. Ash was still in the air, cities still rebuilding, but humanity nearly wiped out, nearly forgotten, stood taller than ever. Veterans marched through New Berlin. Children in reclaimed cities studied history that included the truth. And every year, on the anniversary of the final protocol, the galaxy paused and remembered. In the hidden core of the Revenant AI, deep in Europa's vault, one final protocol blinked green. Directive complete. Threat eliminated. Then the screen showed 2 words: watch mode, because peace had come. But Earth remembered, and Earth was watching forever.